How I do.
Let's get cracking!
Welcome everybody here to another season of the Dota 2 Champions League. I'm your host for the English live stream, Tubby1, bringing you our first two games of the D2CL as we are here doing Na'Vi versus Alliance. It's, well, it's what's classed as El Clasico. A little bit more different from the Clasico we know before because the teams have had a lot of roster changes. But hey, let's talk about that as we get ourselves into the game. The draft is already underway and I'll welcome in my co-caster for tonight's games, a man who has been coaching Cloud9 for the past few months, and has also been a co-caster of mine for the past year or so. Clairvoyance, man, welcome back for our next game.
Hello, hello. How's my voice?
Your voice is wonderful, man. Your voice is wonderful.
Great to hear.
As long as you're judging on quality. If you're judging on like tone and pitch and other things,
Whoa.
I don't judge.
Come on, Toby. We don't have to get that detailed. You know, I know you're a singer and everything, but please spare me the evaluations from a professional.
Well, how about you do the evaluations of these guys' drafts? Because that's one area which I like to not get too heavily involved in. And, well, it's going to be interesting to see these two teams play. Na'Vi versus Alliance, especially when these guys want to let Lycans through the pool. Alright, but they're not the same teams as what we used to cast these guys as. Na'Vi, obviously, they've had their changes, officially tagged up now. They have Venscore, as well as FNG. FNG is taking up the captain's role in the absence of Puppy now. And Alliance have actually changed over a little bit too, where they have Misery, formerly of Mousesports, and a former Heroes of New Earth professional player as well, in Chessie, joining the lineup of Alliance. And just before we talk about Lycan and the heroes they banned out in the first stage, what do you actually think of the two new teams and their rosters?
I think they're both incredibly high in terms of potential. I mean, I'm more of a Debbie Downer and a negative Nancy, so it's hard for me to tell honestly from this point of view and this point in time specifically. Both teams obviously have ridiculous amounts of potential because they contain 3 TI winners on each side. But also, well, actually, Funnick, never mind. So, Dendi and Havos TI winners, and then, of course, the Alliance Trio TI winners. So, that also already brings them up to, like, seasoned veteran status in Dota 2. And then the other thing is, these new players that are in these teams right now have proven themselves to be very, very talented, even though they're relatively unknown. Like, Misery is already proven to be a very, very good support player, and Chessie is kind of up and coming, but ever since his transition, people have been buzzing about him a little bit. And we know the story with Vanscore, and FNG is somewhat of a newer idea to me, but Power Rangers have definitely shown their capabilities in the past. So yeah, as much as I doubt, I understand that both of these teams are very scary, and I will have to do my homework as well to keep up with them.
Matt, you're probably going to learn a hell of a lot during this game. The fact that we're already through our first part of the drafting stage, and we get Batrider pick up here for Admiral Bulldog, or potentially also a bit of a block pick against what FNG's been drafting for Funnick. When Na'Vi first started playing with their new roster, it was Batrider every time in the first two pickups, and he was always running on the offlane. And what Funnick did beautifully was really contest the opponent's jungle. That worked perfectly when he's playing the Dire side because he'd just jump over the river and then into the 3 potential pull camps. But I never actually saw him play it when he was playing on the Radiant side. Never actually had a game like that yet. But yeah, in those matchups, Funnick played a brilliant Batrider. In this game, though, we'll see if Admiral Bulldog's capable of doing the same kind of thing as Alliance to get the Batrider in the second position.
For sure. This Batrider, Funnick Batrider rather, it's just destroying games left and right, and it's gone to the point where teams have to just first ban it immediately. Even us yesterday when we were facing up against Na'Vi, we said that's one of the key heroes and we have to pay really good attention to that, because if Funnick lands his hands on that hero, I mean, the amount of devastation he can put on that enemy safe lane is just, it's unparalleled at the moment. And it reminds me a little bit of Bone 7 as well, because he plays the Bat Rider quite frequently and quite exceptionally. But just these heroes, these respect bands that have to come out in this patches, is very, very notable. And as you mentioned with the Lycan pick, it's already happening. Na'Vi picked up a Lycan and a VS, which is sort of, I guess, deviant from their traditional playstyle. And I say traditional, but it's only been about a week since we really began to see how they like to play. They like to play extremely aggressive, in your face, and dive into your towers all the time to get kills. And this is kind of a switching of gears here, because Lycan and VS, I mean, they can certainly do all those aggressive things, but they have a lot more to fall back on, in the sense that their 5-man capabilities and their push is not easy to stop, even with a Death Prophet and a Bat Rider.
That's very true. I almost forgot about that game we cast the other night, and diving into towers was possibly the nicest way you could have said what happened that night. I'm looking for some more controlled aggression coming out from Na'Vi. As you said, like Lycan and VS, there's a lot to fall back on if things go a little bit wrong, because the auras, the pushing power they've got behind them. But at the same time, if they just play it safe and secure, then you've also got a Na'Vi which is capable of killing off heroes into the mid game without being really pressured too early on in the early game. Because especially now you get a Mirana and a VS, you got a lot of potential for just roaming ganking for lane control, and let the Lycan and the other two core heroes do their work. So FNG's keeping his options pretty open for how Na'Vi even want to approach this game.
Yeah, I really do like FNG's draft style. Once again, I did note on the other day how if they keep on with the same playstyle, it's gonna fall off very shortly, and teams will figure them out within the upcoming weeks. But as we can see already, they've switched up quite nicely, and even I have a hard time predicting what their next pick is. It could be an Ancient Apparition, which is really good against a Death Prophet, preventing her from healing from her ultimate, so the timing is always really good. It's okay against the Bat Rider because it's a hero that sits at the back lines and applies a lot of good slows. It's not good against immediate burst damage jumpers, so Rasta and Earthshaker are pretty decent, but the reason I mainly think it's going to be an AA because they like to play this aggression, and although Wraith King could also work because they've been picking that. Oh no, it looks like they're going to go for the Doom this time. Not exactly a huge fan of Doombringer Lycan, but when both those heroes, which are strength melee cores, stay alive for the first 10 minutes, the next 10 minutes between 10 to 20 becomes brutal for the enemy team, because they just scale so well with their strength HP, base HP, that they become essentially unkillable at times.
And maybe that is the way we should start looking at this Na'Vi lineup, just the fact that they are, well, they are literally unkillable if they get tankier up. Doombringer and Lycan, just... I'm not seeing where the continuous physical damage is going to come from if Death Prophet goes down. You lose her Exorcism and you've got nothing left.
Yeah, it's more like... The thing with the Alliance lineup right now is they definitely have damage. Every single one of these heroes dish out incredible amounts of damage, especially during an extended duration of a team fight. However, when it comes to the form of a burst, they have a couple magical nukes, and they don't have, as you said, much physical follow-up yet. Now, that's probably reserved for their 5th pick, which is understandably so, but at the same time, if Alliance, they don't do as hot in their lanes as they probably hope to, what is going to happen is probably these strength carries will just have, like, a couple more life points than they should, and all of a sudden in the mid game they can't find kills as comfortably as they would like, especially considering the fact that Na'Vi, the way they play, their supports are always missing off the map. They level 1 smoke gank all the time basically, and even aside from that, there's a potential of the aggressive tri-lane / ganking at mid. So there's so many things for Alliance to watch out for. But on the other hand, Toby, I've been studying some Alliance replays, and lately they've been doing a lot of aggressive tri-lanes themselves. So this could be a very messy game from the get-go.
And if that's the case, I'll be a happy chappy. Nice way to kick off the D2CL. Actually, before we actually see our last pickups, man, like, if you're going to be a gambling man, because obviously Dota 2 Lounge, shout out to you guys, you do support the D2CL along with Tessero as well as HyperX. But who do you think, like, the community right now is thinking 62% would be Na'Vi and 38% are Alliance. Like, would you side with the community's like 62%, or would you live life on the edge and go with Alliance as the victors of this series?
I think if Alliance actually picks Naga here, and the Naga Siren, actually no, it's not about the Naga Siren. I think what happens is if they pick Naga or some super hard carry for Loda, and Alliance aren't down by like 4 kills by 12 minutes, I think they'll be fine, because they have a lot of really good anti-push with the Earthshaker addition, in addition to the DP and the Rasta and the Bat Rider. So Lycan is always really, really scary, especially like a safe lane Lycan that gets free farm with Vlads, because the synergy is just ridiculous and it just infinite sustain by pushing towers. But if it's... Oh no, it's actually going to be a Viper. I don't like that pick, especially here against the Doombringer, because Doom just clicks 1 spell and Viper gets hard counter. But if they wanted more lane presence, I guess with the Razor being out of the question, they couldn't have asked for much more. But Viper, to be honest, is not very good against Vengeful. Like, it's not good against any of those heroes, really, because the way to beat Viper is to beat him in the lane with burst damage, and with Howl, VS, and a Potom Arrow, and a Doom to fall back on later on. Like,
10 seconds
it's just
remaining.
Na'Vi have like really, really good anti-Viper heroes. So I don't know about this
5
choice here by
seconds
Alliance,
remaining.
and I was going to say Alliance at first, but because that's not a super hard carry that I expected, I think
Reserve
Na'Vi might
time.
have this in the bag.
Well, man, if I'm reading this the way like I see it from Alliance, they're not looking to go into the late game. This is probably also going to be something which Loader has talked about in the past, even though he's not the man doing the drafting, which we should also flag too the fact it's Chessie who's the man doing the drafting here for Alliance.
Is he?
Yeah, he is. He's got a little captain
he's got
symbol
the
next
crown,
to him.
you're right.
But yeah, but it's something which Loader has always been saying about Dota, and he said in the late game it just takes one team fight to lose and you're out. Like, it's just that simple. And I don't think Alliance is really thinking, like, if they lose a team fight in the late game here, Lycan is just going to ravage their base. So how do you deal with that? Like, you don't really have a great lineup to force out towers unless Exorcism is up, or Viper has a crap ton of farm. So this line for me just makes me think they're just trying to fight heavy on. Like, really, really heavy early on from Alliance, get the advantage as far as the levels go, and then just keep roaming, ganking, and fighting. They need that mech up on the Viper ASAP, and then let Death Prophet get Yule Scepter so that she can keep initiating and just forcing down tower after tower. I think that's the goal right now from Alliance.
Yeah, it certainly should be. I just don't know how well they can do it against Na'Vi. If it were any other team, I would say their plans to kind of alleviate pressure in the early game might be successful, because once again, they have really good heroes. Aside from the Rasta, Earthshaker is really good at shutting down engagements, and Viper is just one of those heroes that, you have all these level 1, level 2 supports. You click your enemy mid-hero, and this guy's level 4 with level 2 corrosive skin says, nope, I can't kill that guy. Next. But this process of elimination might just not come to pass, because once again, Na'Vi's heroes, early on, they can kill anything. Potom and VS can walk around and
5
literally just stun a
seconds
target,
remaining.
follow it up with an arrow, and if there's any type of aerial support or any sort of support coming in at all from anybody, whether it's the Lycan Howl, Quad with a blink and right click, or Doombringer just popping Scorched Earth and applying a mini Radiance, there's a lot of potential kills on the map on the side of Na'Vi against Alliance. So I do kind of fear for their lineup at this point. It's not weak, it's not shabby at all, but it does take its time to kick in. And even when it kicks in, you're still dealing up with a Lycan and a Doom. So I feel that their sustained damage might not be enough to combat the early pressure that Na'Vi can apply.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one too, man. It's going to be a rough run for Alliance, but wait, we'll see. Maybe execution on lanes is what wins it for Alliance, or Na'Vi do roll as we're, I think, both kind of feeling right now. Either way, all the players are now inside the lane, inside the game, so with a bit of a resume, we'll get to go through our lanes and see who's going to be where. So as far as Alliance go, we'll have Admiral Bulldog, off-lane Batrider, no surprise first, boots and giving him a shared board. It'll be a safe lane Loader Death Prophet going on with the veil of, I don't know if that Death Prophet's meant to get married or something with that kind of veil. Either way, Death Prophet played by Loader, RK will be the Shadow Shaman behind him, Misery the roaming Earthshaker, 3 Clownies on him, so actually saving a little bit of extra money in cases. Viper will be played by Chessie. He's been taking up the mid solo for Alliance, and he'll be there again in this game with the Wraith Band and a couple of extra consumables. While Na'Vi, you actually check out what FNG's got. This is a Boots First Vengeful Spirit. Looking for kills. Vanskill's going to be right behind him with the arrows. Funnick will be the off-lane Doombringer with Boots First, and that'll put Horvorst into the middle lane, in fact, playing the Lycan role, giving Dendy space as a safe lane Queen of Pain. Not something which we see a hell of a lot. I know Fnatic used to do this with Harney's Queen of Pain, where they gave him as much space as they could on the bottom lane. But, yeah, I haven't seen Na'Vi really run Dendy as a safe lane kind of thing, except for, like, the old, like, Pudge kind of days when you'd just farm up for, like, 8 minutes and then go out ganking with high items and high regeneration.
Ooh, I have to say, I don't... once again, it's a difficult situation for Alliance because they have all these cores that can kind of go different places. The DP as well as the Viper, it looks like from this pause point of view that they're going to swap places. It looks like a safe lane Viper who did get pulled and a mid lane Death Prophet, which is not bad. Once again, both heroes are kind of similar in their ability to zone out and harass, although Viper is kind of more stronger due to his single target. But I'm just not convinced because what Na'Vi did was they thought that the Viper was mid, And Viper is really, really good against Queen of Pain because Queen of Pain cannot use Shadow Strike. She'll just kill herself faster than she kills the Viper with it.
Yeah.
And so they dodged the lane for Dendi, put him on the safe lane against the Bat Rider with the Magic Stick already, which is optimal, first of all, because Queen is really good against Bat in the safe lane. And then secondly, they sacked the Lycan at mid. And Lycan, not only does he already do okay against the Viper, but against Death Prophet it would be even better. And as I say that, Chesia has actually translated himself down to the mid lane, whereas the Death Prophet's returning to the top lane. So looks like things are a little bit better for Alliance, but I still do fear the potential of Navi's aggression here coming in. They don't have a smoke on their support duo yet, but when they get one, that's a guaranteed kill.
I'm a little surprised about the first build that Admiral Bulldog went into. He's gone boots first. I assume he's just fearful about an aggro tri lane coming to gank him, but he went Firefly at level 1. Correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but would you not normally look to get Sticky Napalm so you can win at least like the lane to start with before you say, oh, I need to be massively defensive and just level up Firefly?
I think in the past it would have mattered a lot, especially when Sticky did a lot more damage. But with Firefly, I think Bulldog, even without the haster, he would have tried to do something like this, where you just pull the creep wave away. Right now, the priorities for Bat Riders in the offlane is simply to get EXP. That's it, because most of the time the jungle can suffice when it comes to giving him all the missing EXP and gold for his Blink Dagger. So I think Bulldog had the right track. Of course, it's okay to not skill for a while. Sometimes it might be better, but I think it's okay. But he's already taken 2 Shadow Strike ticks, and Dendi's being really, really aggressive here. So long as he's not missing creeps, this is absolutely fine.
Talk about aggressive. Vanscore and FNG, they've been hovering on top of this cliff face for a while now, waiting for Chessie just to be a little bit too far out of position so they can howl up. VS stun, magic missiles coming on down, and that's going to hit perfectly. I say Moran arrow, sorry. Fisher trying to buy a little bit of space, but then Havorce, he's actually trapped on the wrong side this one, so even though they do bring down the Viper, Misery, okay, he has FNG and Vanscore close enough to push him back underneath his own tier 1.
Now, once again, this typical Navi aggression, like, a lot of times it's not too worth it. But look at what Funny's doing.
Misery might be in a little bit more trouble. Yeah, Funny rotated over, but they had the Mirana coming up from the side, and Urshika almost just walked up the hill back to where the VS is.
Yeah. You know, Toby, 2 months ago, I would have never agreed to a team with a bottom support winning the game at all. But after TI, everything's changed, man. I can't believe this support hero is actually being a relevant hero. Despite what I think about her, she's not bad. I mean, her right clicks are weak, but she's got a nice arrow.
FNG's in trouble. Magic missile. We got another arrow coming in from Mirana, and FNG's considering turning around for this one, especially considering the wolves are coming in from Lycan, and Funix rotated in from the side. Scorch's available. He'll need the movement speed to get that clamp off, which he has inside of him, but the ES Fissure holding him back, and the shackles. Arcane's looking for a swing in there. Lycan, the wolves kill the Viper off before Chessie can hit the neutral creeps, and Alliance getting killed inside their own jungle. Now 3-0 as Arky dies on the stairs to the Doombringer. And even just add insult to injury. Oh no, Admiral Bulldog steals the illusion rune. He's not too healthy on this bottom lane, but at least he can deny Havorce getting that extra rune.
Yeah, this is partly what I was fearing for the side of Alliance. Already not even 3 minutes in and 3 kills in favor of Navi. And keep in mind, Loda also walked out of the lane to try and save his teammates there for a second. And what that had forced was there's a buildup of creeps, range creeps on the safe lane now, which means he's pushing. This Doom's gonna get more EXP on top of the kill that he got. Everything is going in favor of Navi, whereas on Alliance, they're panicking hard, man. They're struggling just to deny this ward, and Aki might die again because he doesn't have boots.
Well, the arrow's coming in, and the arrow going up to the left, man. I really have trouble following exactly where that arrow stun area is. I don't know why people keep using that Mirana arrow.
Yeah, I think it's silly as well. But regardless, now the counter warding comes in for Navi, and they not only save their ward, but reduce the vision on the side of Alliance. Let's see how the bottom lane's going, and looks like it's not going well at all with Bulldog 1 CS versus a 16-17 CS Dendy.
Well, I don't know how he's meant to really control him here. The Shadow Strike from Denny just keeps flooding out every single time, and he's really focused more on just control over Admiral Bulldog, keeping that Shadow Strike, keeping him low and into the trees. In fact, Admiral Bulldog, he's got no health consumables left right now, and this Shadow Strike will tick him down to just above 0, unless Denny can get another attack in. Admiral Bulldog, I don't know if that was enough. He's low.
He won't. Oh no, he won't. He won't fall. That's very close though.
9 life points at 1 point. 9 life points.
That 25% reduction kicking in. But even still, there's no way to sugarcoat the fact that he's just getting destroyed in this lane. It's already an imbalanced matchup to begin with. On top of that, you add Hao. Speaking of Hao, Avos goes down.
Yep, they're able to find him. There's 2 points up in that Nether Toxin, which is just allowing Chessie to make sure that Lycan does go down when he dropped down low. Normally you think, hey, that wouldn't actually connect in. Because he went no points up in Corrosive Skin, it's all offense up against this Lycan.
Wow, that was a really, really huge kill for Chessie. He's got his bottle coming in now. Oh, no, he doesn't. Actually, that's not very good anymore, because if he had bottle, he would have the sustain to stay in this lane, even against the harassment and the ganks from the 2 supports. Now, Havos comes into the lane with a full bottle and can take a lot more harassment. But most importantly, Chessie cannot take any harassment because he has no sustain ability in the lane. So that's going to hurt him a bit. And meanwhile, FNG and Vansko are looking for another kill yet again.
FNG's trying to stay in the trees where he can't be seen. And now he'll move up an RK. It's actually probably the worst creep he could be battling up against right now because it's really slowing him down. But at the same time, they're picking out the fact they're there. Loader knows it as well. And you got both Batrider and Misery coming up here. Most of those pings are actually coming from Misery. They brought 4 heroes towards the top lane. They haven't found a kill. And I'm still seeing Dendi free farming on the bottom lane. And Avos not really getting controlled up in the mid apart from that one death which he gave to Chessie.
That's called space right there, what they did. They actually didn't aggress into that Rasta. I was quite surprised because in a perfect scenario, they might have killed him and gotten out. But that was just really good awareness to notice that their other ward detected some rotations coming in. So it was a smart move, and Navi's still doing most, if not everything, correctly. And everything's just working out for it as a result. So things are going well.
Man, even that was an attempt of a gang from Misery in the middle lane. All he's looking for is a fissure, just to slow down a horse before he hit the level 6, so the Viper Strike could connect, and then the Poison Attack would then go to work from Chessie. Like, that was the goal right there. Unfortunately for them, the Lycan, even without his level 6, his base movement speed is still 355, and they can't keep up with him. That's just a very, very fast dog.
Yeah, this Lycan won't die anymore. There's just not enough damage coming out in the form of a burst or sustain at this point.
Well,
FNG's caught up in this rune. Yeah, he's gonna steal the XP. On top of that, if he gets the Batrider kill, this is huge.
He's gonna get this kill as this creep wave's dying off. Magic Missile, Vansko throw the arrow. Admiral Bulldog, however, the arrow was a little bit too late there. And Admiral Bulldog will be forced out of the jungle. At the same time, though, there's more support coming up. Chessie wants kills here. Vansko's got Leap as well as TP, and he's currently considering just jumping out. There's gonna be no Flame Break, but he's right next to Misery. That actually is the one and only hero on the Alliance lineup that would have been able to stop that TP.
Oh, you know what though? That was actually okay, because if you see at top, Funnick got a solo kill, and on top of that, Loda came to the mid lane just to see what he can do here. That hurts Loda a lot again. He's moving around a lot for his teammates right now, and it's just not an efficient movement overall because he's losing a lot for it.
Hilarious thing is though, his net worth is still sitting right next to Dendi. For everything that's happened, he's still sitting like only 60 gold away from Dendi's net worth.
Yeah, but the problem is Dendi is an entire level on top of him, and they're both safe lane carries, so that actually means a lot. Especially considering the fact that Dendi at this point, because he has an advantage, what's going to happen is when Alliance try to get aggressive, he's going to be the one that tries to TP in, so he will lose the least in terms of any sort of movement happening in this game.
Misery.
Whereas Loda,
he's not going to get there in time. He's not going to get there in time. That Doombringer's got such great movement speed. That was even without Scorched Earth.
Yep. Yeah, and Funnick's already got 40 gold away from his Midas, and he's already picked up a magic stick as well on top of that. He is just rocking hot right now. He's going to go into the jungle, devour a creep at the 8-minute mark, and everything's just going to be A-okay for him.
So the big question then still continues to be asked, and that's what the hell does Alliance even do right now? Do we try and look for the push power? Shadow Shaman's not level 6, so there's no mass serpent wards for this guy just yet. Loda has at least his level 7, but that's a 3-0-3-1 build coming out for him. While Vansko hits the arrow perfectly on the Viper. A Vorst will come in, they don't have any extra Starfall damage, and then Vansko just has to leave himself out. VS with a follow-up stump, but then Misery with a better start hitting on FNG as well as Vansko, and Vansko kind of locked in a corner there, and they just Firefly right over the top. Dendi now comes in, the Sonic Wave and the extra attack doesn't miss uphill. He'll go into the Shadow Strike to Misery, the Wolves are diving under, not to mention the Big Wolf. That's a Vorst inside of his ultimate form. And Dendi's only got 2 stick charges, so he can't chase Admiral Bulldog up the hill. At the same time, Alliance is now forcing the top lane. They have the Exorcism out, and they're trying to beat down the Tier 1. But then the VS TP's in, and Loda will back up.
Yeah, that's such a nice TP from the VS. You know, as a matter of fact, he just dropped the sentry and spotted out that Observer Ward. This is huge. He's going to deny that vision. That Exorcism is down, and Loda doesn't have the mana sustain to stay inside the lane yet. which means that they won't be able to push that tower on their own safe lane for a very long time, and that is just so crucial because this Doombringer is just going to get more and more out of all of this. Whereas in the mid lane, Lycan's going to keep farming with Wolves and Deny with Wolves as well, but as I say that, he's rotating himself to the bottom lane, so I'm assuming Dendy's going to try to take things over right now, and he's very, very close to his Orchid, Toby, about 500, 600 gold away. And he's going to have his Orchids. He's going to be able to solo kill anybody.
Yeah, and there's no way to get free of it right now. I'm not seeing enough farm over on Loader unless something's on that courier. Okay, there it is. It's actually Staff of Wizardry and Voidstone. Because if he has the Yule Scepter, at least he can dispel against the Orchid. But heroes like Arche, as well as Misery, they're going to have a real rough time, especially Arche. Like that Shadow Shaman, once he gets Orchid, one Scream and a Shadow Strike will be enough to kill him off.
Yeah. He's having such a rough game already, and as you said, it's not going to get any better for him because no matter how much pulling he can do right now, he's always going to have to be wary of missing supports, and he can just get popped in an instant by almost anything against the side of Na'Vi. So his position has to be phenomenal, but even that, I'm not sure if it can save him anymore. Just without level 6, his game impact is just going to dwindle.
Na'Vi's showing really good patience right now. They've got Vanskill soaking up some experience in the middle lane. I think they're just trying to get him up to level 6. He's going to take out the Illusion Room because right now no one from Na'Vi with a bottle is close enough to really make the most out of it. But the fact they're getting him closer towards his Moonlight Shadow, that means Na'Vi have a better way of initiating up against Alliance. Or Alliance actually have a really difficult way of following up. Because unless they have detection, and at this point I'm only seeing Sentry Wards over an Arche. Like, that's the only way they can reveal this Na'Vi team.
Yeah. Oh man, this actually hurts Alliance so much. They're getting scouted out on every single hero except Misery because he's smoked. And it's very, very obvious that they're going to try to push the top lane. Now, what I'm curious to see is how Na'Vi are going to react. Dendy's TP is up in 10 seconds. If they choose to defend that tower, I have no doubts that they could be successful. But they might lose a little bit as well because Alliance's damage, when they assemble like this, it's nothing to be scoffed at. They have the Bat Rider Lasso and they have the Earthshaker Fisher to initiate.
The other option is just go for trade-off, because Chessie got hit by an arrow, and they're actually forcing TPs from Alliance. That's Misery coming back. Which means if Na'Vi want to TP themselves towards the top to defend this Tier 1, they can do it successfully. The Wolves are already chipping away at Admiral Bulldog. They do bring in the Mirana on the back end, while Funny's just hovering around the top rune area.
Dire's bottom tower
Tower's deny range. Let's see if they got... Oh my gosh, that is so big. Oh my goodness.
Was that Mirana arrow connecting?
Yeah, and then the VS stun follow up, and he was just in tower range. Loda got a little bit too greedy for the tower, but it almost just seems like miscommunication on the side of Alliance. Without the Earthshaker, it seemed like most of them wanted to back, and Bulldog doesn't have Blink Dagger, so he can't follow up on anything or initiate. But Loda really wanted that tower, and he just got caught out by the stun straight up. That was really huge because now he just picked up his Yules, but his ultimate's down. So there's really no follow-up for like the next efficient move that he can do. Go bottom.
He's battling up against Misery. He gets the Orca, but the Shackle's going to hold him there. Crowstorm was going to make sure he does go down. The Shadow Strike is ticking into Misery. He's pretty damn low too, 32 life points. He should still survive through this with the last tick. So Misery is a way to safety. But yeah, I don't know what Loda was doing in there close. The second you saw the Misery TP in towards the middle lane, it was at that point I thought, okay, Alliance is just going to give up the top tower.
Yeah. And they should have. Their heroes were floundering back and forth, but Loda at one point just let go, and I think he might have gotten caught out by the bottom ulti as well. I think they initiated with the Invis. But no matter the case, that was just wishful thinking on his part, and it cost him deep. He TP'd to the bottom lane, got a Queen of Pain kill, so that's somewhat salvaged. The Queen of Pain is level 11, so that's huge amounts of EXP going in favor of Alliance. Which allowed Aki to actually get his level 6. And honestly though, normally I don't see Dendy get caught out like that in those kind of positions. He's usually a very safe player. His engagement activities are very well thought out, but he was just in very deep, and his Orchid was kind of late as well. So it's unfortunate I missed it because I wanted to see how it exactly panned out.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it as well. Unfortunately, I got the very tail end.
Yeah. Roshan's being circled out by Na'Vi. This is also one of those games where the Radiant team actually has a stronger Roshan lineup than Alliance. And it's funny because Alliance have Rasta as well as Death Prophet, but you cannot beat any sort of aura plus Lycan in the Rosh pit. It's impossible. The amount of buff ups this guy gives not only to his team, but innately to himself with his Feral Impulse and possibly Ultimate, not to mention the Wolves that do crit. You can't out DPS this guy.
Yeah. Man, I'm just sitting here going like this is kind of going down the way we thought it was going to during the drafting stage. We're thinking, all right, well, Alliance like, they're probably still going to be down a couple of deaths, but maybe they will find some DPS to come out. Like, that was meant to come from their 5th hero. It's not coming out of the Viper because he's, like, mech and Ring of Aquila, so he's all about tankability right now. Alliance have only just got their level 6 over on Shadow Shaman, so potentially they could just pop themselves in and try and grab Roshan, get some level of, like, bigger advantage. But Na'Vi are still so far ahead in net worth. The 3 cores from Na'Vi are separated by only 200 gold in the net worth. They're 5 to 5.2k right now. Every single one of them is farmed up. And you look at Alliance's cores and you're like, okay, well, Death Prophet's there, but the physical damage is going to destroy her, and an exorcism isn't really scary enough for either Lycan or Doombringer to back up from her.
Yeah, not yet, for sure.
Not to mention what would happen if she actually got doomed. And then you've got, like, the other matchup is the Viper versus the Quap. So you got Quap, who's being able to initiate and move around the map and kill off people, because she's already got a very quick Orchid up and running. And Viper is tanky and can sit there and maybe protect a little bit, but isn't really as maneuverable. And then the last hero is the Batrider versus the Doombringer. Now, Doombringer is 2,000 gold already, after only picking up that hand of Midas a couple of minutes ago. So, if he wants to, with the War Stomp already inside of him, he could just pick up a Blink Dagger and be the perfect initiator in for Na'Vi, without having to actually risk the VS and the Mirana. They actually get to be counter-initiators after the Doombringer jumps in and tanks up the minimal damage which Alliance is already pumping out. I'm concerned right now that Alliance just need to make sure they find fights which are 4v1 in order to take these engagements.
Yeah, but the other problem is, for them to set up those fights, they always need Batrider and Earthshaker, because their cores are just so immobile. Like, it hurts them so much, and I see them just 4-man smoking to the mid lane right now, and this is a decent move, but as they say that, they're actually going to try to sneak in Roche. This now is a really, really good move. But I'm not sure how successful they will be.
Exorcism's still on cooldown for 6 more seconds, and that DD room, well, there's nothing left. And, well, where's the scout?
There's a wolf.
Yep.
It's scout, yeah, exactly. It's coming right now.
They have observers and sentries here for the dire side, but the wolf comes in and scouts out what's going on. And Na'Vi, look at Tendi. He instantly blinks towards the pit. They want to get here before this is done. The mech charge already popped up here from Chessie. We got arrows flying in. Does it hit on Roshan? It does. Not a hero. The Fissure goes on to Funnick. Funnick still with no Hex off, but in comes Tendi. The Orchid over on Misery. There was no Echo Slam anyway, but still a 1-for-1 trade-off. Misery will die in the size, triggering out from the Orchid. Roshan's down. Aegis will have picked up by Admiral Ball, while FNG, Chessie actually standing his ground up to pick up a kill over on him, but there's just too much stability and damage coming out from the dog as well as that Queen of Pain. It was scream up to scream. That wasn't even a Sonic Wave engagement. And it ends up going 4-2 with the Batrider escaping with the Aegis.
Yeah, once again, their Roshan DPS, it's very sustained, but they can't try to sneak it in with that kind of lineup. Like, to sneak in Roshan, the best way to do it is with a Medallion lineup, because that's when you really, really dish out the deeps. But this early level of Exorcism, I mean, especially when you're going to pop it after you're inside the Roche pit instead of just starting it immediately, it's just so rough. And not to mention, like, there's so much damage coming out of Na'Vi already, and we got a really good, clear demonstration of that. Even though Funnick wasn't able to cast Doom and just got locked up immediately from the start, even though he started the fight with 600 HP, Na'Vi were able to clean up very, very easily. And of course, the Aegis is still on the side of Alliance, but again, on a Batrider, it's not that useful.
The Moonlight
so Alliance
Shadowing
are hurting right now.
The Moonlight Shadowing, I don't know where they really want to go, because they go straight past the tower if they want to initiate. But nobody's here.
Gosh.
I think they're just considering, Vansko just walked in range of the tower as well, which doesn't help out. Alright, Moonlight Shadow blowing for nothing.
Yeah.
If there maybe was one Alliance hero sitting in this region here being a little overconfident, they maybe could have gone for that.
Honestly, I'm just scared for Alliance that they're about to lose 2 towers, but let's see how this fight pans out, because they might get the lead on it.
Yep, and it's going to be Admiral Bulldog, the man who has to set the tone of it, and he already blinks himself out, gets orchided. He wasn't in range for the lasso. He actually just sat there for like maybe 0.25 of a second thinking, crap, it still wasn't in range. Is there someone, is there a second option?
You know, I was actually thinking FNG would swap him immediately after the Orchid and just stun him up, and he would have just popped. He does have the Aegis, so if they're wary of that, I can understand, sort of. But if the Batrider's down for like 5 seconds and it gives them the time to set up a team fight, while Exorcism is probably down as well, although it just came up, then Na'Vi would have cleaned up another team fight, I feel. But it's okay to play this safe. I mean, Vanscore's pretty close to his mech already. They've got incredible amounts of map control, even though they're behind on towers. As we mentioned before, Toby, with this kind of Lycan lineup, you win any sort of team fight, that's multiple towers gone in the click of a light. So.
Alright, there's a DD rune on bottom river right now. The dire side can see that one, but Navi's getting ready to fight. The Alpha Wolf has just been substituted in for the War Stomp for Vorst. Oh, there's a quick swap. And Admiral Bulldog, he knew he was going to die pretty quickly. Now loaded towards the front lines. The Aegis Immortal has already gone off. So Bulldog is meant to be the sacrificial lamb, but the Doom is over on Chessie. He'll just tank that up while Funnick into the tree line. Not enough regeneration to keep him alive. And Alliance are going to try and force the issue a little bit more. Loader going to get stunned up. There's no secondary arrow with the silence over on the Mirana. Nicely cast by Loader. Quap. Oh, that's a big sonic wave right into the middle of Alliance. The wave of terror. Loader's lucky to actually evade that one. And they're two in the corner. The Wolves are coming in. And the scream from Dandy picks up both Loader and Bulldog. Misery trapped in the middle of Wolves. And somehow Havor survives. Dandy stays in the trees where it's safe. And Alliance get team wiped. At the same time, did Divorce actually disconnect out during the engagement?
Probably. But in the meanwhile, while that was happening at the side shop, Ake walked up to his wards with 50 HP, taking out to the Shadow Poisons, saw the opportunity, and actually denied himself with the wards. It was a nice play, but nevertheless, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough for this game. They just got completely team wiped, and of course, they got the Doombringer once again. But this Funnick Doombringer is already over-farmed for his own name. He's got a hand of Midas that's going to be available when he comes back, and Navi's about to get a tower. So everything is still a-okay for Navi, and with this tower being pinged out at 38 HP, I don't see it living any longer.
Quap will bring it down. I double-checked as well on the delay, and Divorce disconnected out after he got the last hit. So he actually ran up to the trees a little bit further north.
I see it.
He was still in perfect control throughout the engagement.
Oh, that's okay. Knowing Havos, he would have found out a way to exchange his life for something else anyway.
I also like the name of Navi's courier. It's a very, very small thing, but it's the 6th player of Navi. The Dragon on Fire. Dunny Dem's creation.
How do you see the name?
Yeah, you just click on the courier.
Yeah.
The 6th player of Navi. As opposed to just our Zebra courier, who's just called Courier.
Ah, couriers.
Alliance is coming in, middle lane. Now, Loader's still got Exorcism on cooldown for another 17 seconds. Misery has no Echo Slam. They do not have Mass Serpent Wards. That's 9 seconds left on them. Then the Mech is even on cooldown as they're trying to force this engagement. On the bright side, Danny is in no position to fight right now. He has to go all the way back to base before he can come out. And Funnick is looking for a trade-off anyway. They're actually going to drop the Mass Serpent Wards down. And there is no other way to, they're not going to defend this. It's just a tier 1 for a tier 1 trade. Funnick will take tier 1 tower in the top lane, and Alliance wastes the Mass Serpent Wards in the middle lane.
Top tower has fallen.
Yeah, Navi are very content with it. As you said, it's not entirely a waste, but it's a very good word to describe the situation because it won't be available for another 2 minutes. And Navi are aware of this. That's huge amounts of intel for Navi, who's already on the enemy side of the map. Knowing how Alliance have been moving around, then their next objective is either bottom or top, where Navi have shown their heroes. And they're walking into a Lycan with DD and a BKB. I'm not sure how well this is going to go for them.
BKB, is he going to trigger the DD as well? Yes, he has. He's going to turn around and try and fight this. Then again, he's being a little bit hesitant about it because he still has Admiral Bullocks in range, and then the arrow connects on Chessie. Now he's going to back himself up. Not enough life points, so Bat Rider, Bulldog, he's going for a Divorce. The DD is still there, but the Lycan Wolf form is run out. They trigger Exorcism as well. Man, Alliance really want to commit to ensure these hits. And now they do actually find another one. FNG in the middle lane. Yulsip sending him up towards the air. Dandy throws out the ultimate. He's already used the Orchid as well, so Loader's going to blow up right now. And Dandy with his own BKB will blink away to safety. So no corrosive skin slowing him down. But Admiral Bulldog, really nice pickup on that top lane. But Loader's still dying in the middle.
Honestly, I found that kind of awkward. I think if Havos told his team that he had BKB and DD, what would have happened is Potom would have lingered around a little bit more and tried to bait it out some more spells while he was in Eos. That's a really difficult play, but the simpler story would be the VS immediately walking top and with the Doombringer as well. They were already in the vicinity, but they decided to just go back and forth, like kind of hesitating on what to do. And then eventually the VS decided to choose the mid tower as the objective, saying, okay, we can't fight into that. But I don't know. It must have been like Dandy calling and said, I don't want to fight that, because that part of the map is dark. But they could have taken that fight if everybody just rotated right away. Just like how they reacted to the Roshan when it was being taken. They all just rotated their heroes immediately without thinking and having a second thought. I think if they had that same line of thinking, they would have been able to succeed in the previous fight. And now Ake is getting scouted out, but he will be able to live.
Yeah, he TP'd out nicely inside the tree line, and Dandy couldn't get there in time. Even if he did, he still didn't have a stun to stop him.
No.
I don't think he would have, even if he did blink himself up to an area where they were visible. Hey, okay. Don't catch those arrows, man. The Wolves, they're considering having a jump, but Realized I came in vision for a moment. But yeah, they didn't have a stun, and he couldn't dish out enough damage. The animation time would have taken too long for Dendy.
Now it's finally Navi's turn to do the engaging. All 3 of their cores, Toby, have BKBs. That means if Navi get the engagement on the team fight, if they start without the Earthshaker fissuring and landing a really good positional error on the side of Navi, or if they do anything to just jump on any sort of hero, they will be able to succeed and they will take down any target. Whereas Alliance are corresponding appropriately, I guess, because they're pushing on the other side of the map. They did use Exorcism, but they have 4 other ultimates available, so we'll see if Navi pushes into the base, and their push is looking really scary. So,
well, Navi should push into the base. The Exorcism's not going to have its full duration for this top fight. The Fissure's going to hold them out for now. The Wolves are in range. They'll end up just beating down the creep wave that's here. Misery has no jump in for his Echo Slam. RK at least does have mass Serpentmaws, but the tower's very low. The arrow just whistles past RK's ear, and then in comes Admiral Bulldog. Where's your swap? Didn't come in time, but then the BKB, it was there with the stun on the Bulldog, and Danny, it's a good Sonic Wave. The Meg Charge will regenerate them up, but then again, RK popping to the Orchid attack, and Avor's actually getting himself a double kill from that one. It was the Wolves, and the Orchid just kept in silence, and Loda, well, he gets pretty well pounded by the arrow to the front of the face. Misery throwing at the Fissure, and they've got to remember they're here for the objective, and that's going to be the Rax. I think the rest of Na'Vi were actually were called to fall back. Well, Funny will die in the tree line. They want to get range and melee Rax here. Jesse's coming in, try and slow him down. Another bit of a floating arrow from Vanskor. He's got a leap in 3 seconds. FNG's already TPing out this one. Avorst will have to walk the old-fashioned way, but I don't think he even can. The silence is there. Load up the arrow. The Wolves are keeping him low. Vanskor will see about finishing up now. The Orchid's over on Jesse. Misery, he has his Fissure up in 4 seconds time, but the rest of Na'Vi are backing out. They took top Rax, and really they just lost the Doombringer for it.
Yeah, that was actually so good. I thought on the way out they would lose at least another 2 heroes, but they reacted perfectly with heroes zoning out each other, and Loda taking so much damage from just the Wolves right-clicking him with the Howl, as well as the Priestess. Like, once again, these single target supports like VS and Bottom. VS kind of scales because she has the aura and she has minus armor, but like Potom, it seems like, or it did seem like in the past, she would just fall off because her damage wasn't good and her spells are just nice, but they have solutions to deal with them. But with Lycan, all of these possibilities just come into place where this hero just gives everybody a mini relic and everybody just goes nuts on their right clicks. So Alliance, once again, a really strong lineup, but too much presence and not enough catch / availability to just stay alive, I guess, because these heroes on the side of Na'Vi, as soon as they started walking around from minute 1, they just got all these kills. And as I was saying that, I did miss the Roshan. It's a nice Rosh, but Exorcism is down, and if Na'Vi know that, they'll be able to push again at mid.
I think they have to do that. Like, for Roshan to die in any kind of rape before they would have scouted it out means that Exorcism or Mass Serpentmaws had to be used, or both.
And there's a DD at bottom. I think Havos just scouted it out. I'm not sure if he was paying attention. Yeah, it looks like he's going to bypass it. That's okay. Once again, they have way too much damage for their own.
The Wolves are scouting at everything they want to see anyway. Actually beating into RK right now. He knows he can't kill him off. In fact, he could lose his own life right now if he stuck around any longer. But he'll come in range of the towers, and now they will bring down the Wolves for him. But the top lane's still pushing him. The tier 2 tower is taken by the Mirana in the mid. And it looks like Na'Vi's going to be a little bit more systematic about this. And this will reveal the DD rune again. If they didn't see it before, now they most definitely will. In fact, Vanskor, yeah, there you go. He's pinging it out. And this is something Avor's already moving for.
Yeah, they're playing this like in direct contradiction of how they normally play this. And this is actually quite beautiful to see, because this amount of progression already after they've kind of molded their style within the first week means that this team will become very versatile. And that's not to say nothing of Alliance. I mean, once again, they're in trial stages, but they've beaten a lot of good teams, and they beat us, Cloud9, in recent matches as well. And you can definitely see the potential. But overall, this game, like, Alliance should have known that their cores are just way too susceptible to ganks, and they don't really do much in terms of fighting, because all they do is try to take objectives by anchoring themselves. And it was just simply not enough against the Lycan and a dual support that roams. So it's costing them deep. Even though the laning phase is over, we can see the implications of what it has left.
Yeah. And right now they're looking for a way out of this. The arrow actually flies up and hits a smoked up Bat Rider, who now becomes visible, but the leap away from Vanskor and then TP out too. He's very deep inside the tree, so they couldn't catch him out. And also, again, like, another smart play there from Na'Vi. The old Na'Vi or at least the Na'Vi we were even casting last week, would have just like gone balls to the wall and pushed the tier 2 tower, saying we have an advantage. Let's not give a crap right now. Let's just make sure we just keep the pressure on. But this is Control. They realized that everyone was missing from Alliance, and they're not under pressure to win this game right now. They've already got 1 ranks up, so they just hold their advantage. They don't give away their lives, and they just keep pushing. There's even almost a full Lincoln Sphere over on the Queen of Pain. Lycan's almost finished a full Assault Cuirass. He's just a recipe away from that one. Funnick's already got a Blink Deck, a BKB on him. Even the VS is starting her own BKB right now. It's life is not looking great right now for Alliance.
No, it's not. And now with the Priestess of the Moon, although Alliance saw it,
he got attacked by the Wolves, which put his Blink Dagger on the cooldown, but now he's still going to actually get the Blink out. He got the Orchid effect onto him, and then Avos triggers the BKB. Same with Funnick. They just run themselves in, and all of that was for a kill over on FNG. Cheshi is trying to chase the kill on Vanscore. There's only the support heroes you can really kill off at the moment. It's a double kill for that Viper, but Funnick, well, okay, that's a big ram being held back, but Avos, he's still there with the DD, munching through. The Orchid stopping the shackles from RK, but there's 3 sticky napalm jacks on Avos, and now they are actually diving themselves in too deep. The buyback will come. Funnick will TP himself outside the tree line with no flame break to stop him, and, well, Dendy, he looks like he got stunned up a little bit from the fissure, but he's blinking himself away. So they don't take the tier 2 tower. They dive past Mass Serpent Woods. They dive into the middle of Alliance going downhill, while some of the other heroes are uphill. Maybe the Na'Vi of last week is still around.
Now that, Toby, just as you said, that is the Na'Vi I know. Holy moly. Like, you know, what Bulldog did actually was really, really scary. Of course, he probably knew that any other target than the VS would have completely messed up the fight for the Alliance, so it was okay to go on the VS. But even then, if Na'Vi played that fight better with their BKB initiators, because Funnick had a Blink Dagger as well as a BKB, he could have just jumped into the middle of that and casted a Doom on a target instead of waiting for the Death Prophet.
They got Viper. Orchid, Sting, Scream, and VS done to set up, and they're moving so quickly. It's a haste rune on FNG, right behind RK as well. And what was a brief moment of hope for Alliance is now being taken away by losing those 2 big core heroes. And that's also Viper on the sideline for over a minute. He bought back during the last engagement.
Yep.
Actually, so did the Shadow Shaman. That's why both of their death timers are so big for 28 minutes.
I don't know if Phobos is trying to check the Roche pit, but
I'm pretty sure they know. Admiral Bulldog picking up Tendy. I don't know why his name came to my mind. But Dendy getting sniped off up on the top lane. A good lasso grab.
That is nice for them, but I think they can still push if they want to. And it looks like Na'Vi.
VS will just swap them down after there's a 5-second arrow on Bulldog. The Starfall, the bonus damage, the Rod of Vowie slowing down Vanscore, but then in comes Funnick. The Echo Slam from Misery, putting that Blink Dagger to work, but it doesn't stop him from dying. And it's the same thing for Loda. Basic attack, the BKB heroes are up. Loda will buy back into the game. He does have Exorcism available, but Avast, they're going to consider staying around here. The Earthshaker's back to life again. It's another 5-second arrow. Arca, he only just came back to War of the Living. Funnick being stumped up and actually going to be held in position to the point of being his own death. But they take the tier 3 tower in the middle lane. VS has been taken up and towards the air by the Yule Scepter. And then they use Moonlight Shadow to escape. Sentry Wars, Detection. They have Sentry Wars over on the Shaman, but RK is the man who is so far back right now. Doesn't have anything to play around with. Not to mention Loda being stunned up again by these flying arrows coming out from the Marana of Vanscore.
Like, these arrows, Toby, are being so darn disruptive that I think Alliance might actually consider banning this hero the next game. If not first ban, second ban for sure. Vanscore is just doing way too much work, and I know Navi's been picking a lot of Priestess lately, but the amount of effectiveness they're getting out of her is just... this is insane, and I have to say part of it is due to the Lycan for sure, but she's just hitting arrows left and right, and I don't know if Alliance can respond adequately right now because they're just getting caught left and right as well.
So, and you're still fighting up against like a crippled top lane if you're Alliance. So you were trying to deal with the Na'Vi team fight, but at the same time you're going to still be dealing with a split push. And it's a split push coming from a full Assault Cuirass up Lycan with a casual Vit booster. So I just assume tank it all up and just go a straight up heart for himself.
And now a Queen of Pain with Lincolns.
Yeah. So even a jump and initiate on her from the Bat Rider is not really doable. And it was already hard enough as it was trying to go up against a hero like a VS, who's actually going in for an Aghanims upgrade and not going to be going for the BKB.
I think that's the right move. Once again, this hero's level 2 swap is considerably different from level 1 swap. And even then, FNG actually had really nice swaps at level 1, just cancelling the lasso effects completely. Obviously very experienced with their plays and with their heroes. Now they're going to try to push into the mid lane. Havos is giving vision for their own team, and it's really nice thing for them to do as the Wolves are hitting Raxus and Creeps walking to the base. Looks like the final engagement is about to happen.
Only if Na'Vi, well, actually, they're going up.
They're
running up. There's the swap already with the stun over on the Viper. They need to bring him down and get rid of that mech before the fight begins to starfall. Doesn't it, but the Queen of Pain, however, does. The Orchid works perfectly. Loader will go down too. They've lost too many heroes. Misery and Admiral Bulldog running back to the well, but the mid rank is gone. And GG, well played for game number 1. Of course, there's a 2-game series for all D2CL. Misery, one last hurrah. Try to bring down Vanskor, but he's going to get level death as well as Orchid it again. And that is GG for game number 1. Na'Vi looking stable. Alliance kind of looking a little bit weird for their draft. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're capable of doing it when their draft makes a little bit more sense to us in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the baseline of their draft and like the notion of what they had behind the ideas, but first of all, they ran it against the Lycan, which is already kind of a big no-no. It's so difficult to run into a hero that offers more presence than all your cores combined, depending on scenarios. And Na'Vi had the perfect scenario because they had 2 roaming supports that could just kill any of these cores. And then yeah, it just went downhill super hard when these supports actually got the kills that they were moving around for. And in return, their safe lane didn't get a good enough exchange as the enemy safe lane did with the Queen of Pain versus the Bat Rider matchup. So overall, as towers started to fall, Alliance did lose their grip on the game, and even though they came back with a couple nice kills due to Na'Vi's generosity at times and overextending at other times, it wasn't enough.
No, it wasn't, man. So we're going to a short break. Game number 2 coming up soon. We, of course, have more games coming up to you for the D2CL this evening, so make sure you stay tuned for all of that stuff. So, yeah, we'll be back here after this short break.